Joining us now is, many of you may know him as my predecessor on The Majority Report. He is now the host of both Doomed and the new podcast, Scam Economy. Matt Binder, welcome to Left Reckoning.
Hey, it's a pleasure to be here with you guys tonight.
I've already told you this before, but I am a huge fan of the branding. I like your little background you got there now. But Scam Economy, it is a great name because look, it's more and more people are getting scammed these days, it feels like.
Right. I mean, it's a good name for an entire industry that's coming up. That's basically one big Ponzi or MLM scam. So yeah.
I wanted to just note this because we've talked about Bitcoin and Web3 and that stuff on the show. And for a long time, it was like something I had I thought it was bogus, like privately, but I was like, oh, I don't want to do videos on it or cover it because it's boring. And the people who are into it are like way too into it. But it started to like pop up in the real world like a little bit too much. One of the big catalysts, at least for Matt and I, to start doing more on it was when we saw some people saying that like, oh, what the people in Palestine need is more Bitcoin. That was sort of the last straw for me. But here in Texas, this is something that's just notable. Because this is happening right now, where everyone is like, it's panic here. People are very worried about the electricity staying on over the next couple of days, and it looks like we're going to be okay. So don't go out and freak out, folks. But there's a lot of fear that people do have because our electrical system here is in such disarray, and it's frustrating because so little was done by the government here to deal with it. Pretty much the only things that we had were like cosmetic changes to like to ERCOT. But let me show you this. This is Governor Greg Abbott, who again has done almost nothing, inviting these little freaks onto our grid. So Texas Governor Abbott turns to Bitcoin miners to bolster the grid in his reelection. This came out recently, this story, but they've been having these negotiations for a long while now. And the Bloomberg article is actually quite triumphant in a kind of BS way. I'll just tell people right now, the argument here from the Bitcoin people is that they'll be using so much more electricity, right? That there'll be more reserves, and then when we need it, they can just shut off their little Bitcoin mines. But again, a completely ridiculous workaround to a problem that is, again, not just our capacity, but it's the fact that we're over reliant on natural gas that has been weatherized. Anyways, I just bring it up because like there is like a news plug right here for like not just like this stuff is a scam, but it's dangerous, it's harmful to us, and it's putting us all at risk.
Right. It's amazing to see the governor of a state, groveling to any sort of, executive or CEO or anyone is sad enough. But then there's just something about, a governor having to grovel to Bitcoin miners, begging them to please don't put so much power on our grid. Well, what do these Bitcoin miners do? What service do they provide? Are they providing some sort of do they create a product? Do they provide some sort? Maybe they create some sort of service that people are entertained by, or they use it for their work, their business. No, it's literally just these people. Really, what you see now, it's almost getting beyond that. I mean, it's been beyond that, but some people do have money to do it on their own. But we're literally talking about mega capitalists here who are creating these giant rigs inside what is essentially like what you would use for like a storage facility or something, like huge warehouses. And they're just buying up all these graphics cards and processing power. And they create these huge mining rigs. And in the case of Bitcoin, what they do is they mine Bitcoin. And to do so, what they basically do is they solve these extremely difficult mathematical equations that are specifically made to be difficult just so they do all this work, so they can make Bitcoin transactions get entered onto the blockchain. Basically, they create a new block on the chain. And when they do this, they get rewarded with a little bit of Bitcoin. And they're spending tons and tons of money to make these rigs bigger, because as more Bitcoin is mined, these mathematical equations get more difficult. And less Bitcoin are rewarded as time goes on. But it certainly is a profitable venture if they're spending all this money to mine these Bitcoin. And they have to be getting enough Bitcoin for it to be profitable in return.
That's one aspect that really upsets me about it, is it's already a perverted utopia with the whole like solving math equations thing. Because I remember having a PS3, I think it was, and they had this protein folding thing where you could download this and you could decide to burn energy at your house, but just keep your PlayStation on, solving these equations that were like some sort of gene research. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was like figuring out how like chromosomes and shit work. It's above my pay grade, frankly. But like I felt like I was doing something because like science blogs were like, hey, this really helps us. And now it's just like pointless shit, basically aimed at scarcity. You know, right? Because this is like we only want a certain number of it, so we have to. How can we do a scarcity? Well, you have to. There's only a certain amount that can be coined. I don't know. Let's bring it back to a more. Go ahead.
But you know what? It's really complicated on purpose. This isn't a system that's so complicated because it needs to be. We're not, you know, this isn't rocket science. It's purposefully difficult for people to understand because they don't want you to get basically how pointless and convoluted it all is. They throw all this tech jargon at you and they say either, oh, you're not going to get it, or if you criticize it, you don't understand the tech behind it. But that's all done so they can base it's the curtain, you know, like the Wizard of Oz. Like, don't look behind the curtain because there's nothing all that great behind it. That's what this all is. They don't want you to understand it. And it's, you know, it does help them because they could just, you know, easily just brush away any criticism of it from someone who isn't like, you know, a cryptographer or like a hardcore programmer. But you know, if you don't know what's going on, if this is all too much for you to understand, if you're like, you know, a layperson and every day, you know, just someone going, you know, going about your day, you see a crypto story, you want to try to get it, you don't get it. So they don't need you. They don't want you to get it. Just know that you put your money in and you'll make a lot of money. That's what they like you to know about it.
Well, that is the message, right? Like this was Buco Dolores to the moon. You're gonna get some money for nothing and chicks for free with this sort of stuff, right?
Right. Well, the chicks part they can't promise because not that many.
Well, digital, it'll be like metaverse chicks, right? Like,
right. There's been a number of NFT projects where it's like women in NFT, and the art is all like drawings of like women, and then you find out the people behind the project they're all a bunch of guys. It's amazing. It's like, you know, they even try to take advantage of like I don't know, like they try to weaponize identity politics even here in NFT world and in crypto world and Web3 land. And you know,
Reese Witherspoon, right? She's like in it for like the girls. Like you want
to, yeah, she's pushing.
Or LeBron James, when LeBron James was saying he's going to, you know, help out inner city kids or whatever, he said something along those lines, disadvantaged communities, right?
There's no way these celebrities know what's going on here. I'm sorry, they just don't have any clue. I would love to see one of them talk about it in person, like a camera in front of them and their mouths moving to whatever they're saying, because it's the tweets that they're all talking about crypto and NFTs. You know, have you seen that clip of Paris Hilton and Jimmy Fallon?
Yes.
I mean,
I was just going to say, we can't play that because I think we'll get a copyright strike, but people should go look that up. It is fucking insane.
That's what happens when these celebrities have the camera on them and have to talk about this. They talk about how cute their apes are because they've got no clue. They've got no idea.
Yeah. So I have there's a great section from this blog post by Max Reed, and I want to just read a section of it. I think Max was an old like Gawker writer, but here's a section from his Substack. If you pay attention to both the Hollywood trades and the crypto press and smoke enough weed, you can begin to pick out the contours of an expanding, interconnected, celebrity-based Web3 financial cultural complex. Did you know, for example, that Jimmy Fallon is represented by CAA, which is an investor in the NFT marketplace OpenSea, and which recently signed a deal to represent the NFT collector? I'm not going to say the name. Some dumb digital shit. Who owns the NFTs from Bored Ape Yacht Club and World of Women? Did you know that another CAA client, Ashton Kutcher, is also an investor in OpenSea through his company Sound Ventures, or that Kutcher will be starring in a Netflix rom-com called Your Place or Mine with Reese Witherspoon, the most prominent owner of World of Women NFTs, who also happens to be married to a CAA agent, or that the people behind World of Women and Bored Ape Yacht Club are both represented by Kutcher's partner in Sound Ventures, the music manager Guy Oseary. Did you know that Oseary's other major venture these days is Pure Pop, a platform for connecting TikTok influencers to celebrities for collaborations, a platform used by none other than Paris Hilton. And I think like this is like a celebrity grift. They're realizing we can turn attention into money with the little like you know, instead of like Paris Hilton would be coming out with a fucking tulip if this was like the 1730s, right?
Right.
Like exactly.
That Max Reed piece came out today.
I believe so.
Yeah, that's interesting because I mean, it should be obvious to anybody. But I last week on the first episode of Scam Economy, even either on the show or in the post show, I was talking about how there's no doubt that you're going to find that all these celebrities pushing crypto are represented by the same agency, definitely. But I wouldn't even be surprised if the same exact agents were all involved with these specific celebrities. I mean, it's so obvious. These celebrities have no idea what's going on here. Their agents are telling them, hey, this is a new thing. They're paying you to promote it.
Sorry about that. I'm glad you guys kept going because my screen just completely went black there. But okay, can you just repeat that for me, Binder?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it was obvious to me that, you know, all these celebrities who were pushing this stuff out of the blue, that there was some sort of agency or specific talent agents behind it all, because I mean, they have no idea what they're talking about. They're just given a product. They're told you're being paid such and such for it. Go out there and promote it. I mean, look, all right, this is amazing. The other day I was looking through Cameo, the site where you can get a celebrity to give you or you can gift someone a greeting for like, you know, $100, $200, whatever the celebrity charges, and they record a video, they send it to you, and there you go, you could give it to someone as a gift. Happy birthday, uncle, from Mick Foley of the WWE. Right. You know, and it's a cool idea, whatever, but no harm, no foul there. But they also have, because they realized that businesses were taking advantage of these really cheap pricings, and they have a business pricing now. And what I found was a lot of like meme coins, basically coins created just for pure quick pump and dump schemes for the most part. They go ahead and they purchase celebrity cameos and give the celebrities a script, and these celebrities just read it off. They don't give a shit. They're getting paid 200, 300, 400, 500, whatever for this business cameo. And they get paid for what takes up probably less than 10 minutes of their time. And those shit coins put together a little compilation of like LeVar Ball and one of the side cast members from The Office. And they talk about how great this NFT project is, or this new meme coin is. And boom, everyone goes home happy, of course, except for the people who see that video and then invest their money into that shit coin. And then they lose all their money when the founder pumps and dumps it and pulls all their money out.
The thing about like all of the Web3 stuff, and we can maybe zoom in a second, but like, is that one, I will just say we could talk about cryptocurrency like politically maybe later, but we've done a lot of that on this channel, and I feel like Matt and I are pretty comfortable in saying that like pretty much all of the political uses and ideas that people have when they say like we need cryptocurrency to revolutionize society are bullshit. But the second bit of it, like it as just like a financial instrument, you know, the coins and NFTs in particular, you know, all of these things are just are old scams that have happened in capitalism for a very long time that are now illegal. And like, because they are scams, and quite clearly they're scams because they're all about putting their Ponzi schemes, essentially putting money in at the front, hoping that you're in early and then you get out before the whole thing blows up. That's also a big part of like the celebrities pumping out their NFTs too, is they get them, you know, sometimes, you know, from these new companies for cheap or, you know, for free, even if we're promoting them. And then they're able to sort of say like, you got to get into this. And then they, you know, they're selling them quickly. But you know, I mean, the thing about it is that this is just like a new, it feels new in some ways, and it feels even more absurd in a lot of ways. But these are just old ass kind of Ponzi scheme scams that have been going around for a long time.
Right. For people to really understand, like this is how this whole thing works. Basically, you buy a Bitcoin. You buy Bitcoin. And you put your money in, that money's gone, you get a Bitcoin in return. Now, this isn't like buying something or even like a tangible, like this is not buying a product, even a service that it isn't tangible. This isn't even like Netflix. Because when you buy a product, when you buy some food or an action figure or a comic book, or you purchase a service, whether it be, you know, your cable bill, your internet provider, your Netflix subscription, whatever, that's the end of the transaction. You pay them for providing you something. That's it. End of discussion. You get it. They get the money. Boom. Everyone's happy. With this, you get a Bitcoin when you put that Bitcoin. You can't do anything with it. You didn't buy a Bitcoin just so you could have a Bitcoin sitting on your computer or in your, your wallet. You bought it specifically in the hopes of turning around and selling it and making more than you put in. Now, how do you do that? Well, you need to sell it to somebody else who's willing to pay more for that Bitcoin than you did. Eventually, as this keeps going on, we're going to run out of people willing to pay more for that Bitcoin. And then everyone who's holding at the end there is going to be stuck losing money. Because when you make money in crypto, there's no revenue being generated that you're getting. You're not getting the fruits of your labor or the fruits of your company. It was hard work or whatever. Even if we want to talk in the current system we live in, which is that's how things work. What we get here is even more absurd. What we have here is you sell off, and you keep pumping it because you want more people to buy in, so that price goes up.
Sorry, Matt, something's going on with your audio. You're a bit crackly.
Yeah, well, if you could maybe,
Sorry.
Let me see 1 second.
Refresh that, but I do want to jump in on that point, and we can maybe bring it back to there. But like the arc of this whole crypto stuff to me has seemed to be like, okay, at the beginning of it, you have some tech early adopters that are, frankly, I mean, like I think the David Gerard point is right on, that they are like right wing. They're like basically like neo digital gold bugs. They want a hedge against inflation, right? But you have like certain tech adopters, but the real primitive accumulation phase, and David, you can correct me if I'm not using this correctly, but it was the drugs. It was, you could use this to sell drugs. And so a whole bunch of people started like getting a bunch of this stuff basically because it was an asset that you could use to try to like, get fucking drugs delivered to wherever the fuck you are through the mail. And like that capitalize that. And what happens when that stops being useful? Those assets have to try to become useful somehow. So you get all these different things, right? You get these all these different ways it could help decentralize things, which is like I've always said, if it was the 90s, they'd be calling it privatization, but decentralized, whatever that, like some sort of libertarian notion. You get and that brings us to NFTs too, I think.
Right. How's my audio now, by the way?
Excellent.
Great.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I mean, we're basically the whole thing here. The thing that makes this the scam economy here is that you need to. It's an MLM. Like you need people to buy in. That's why no one just likes this stuff. Like you're a baseball fan. You like baseball. You collect Pokemon cards. You look for other people who like Pokemon cards, and that's even something that people speculate on too.
Right.
But no one's out there saying, "Oh, you really need to really get into Pokemon cards. Come on, go buy some Pokemon cards. Go get a pack."
Yeah.
No one's doing that. Because at the end of the day, yeah, you could sell them and make a little bit of money, but there's a game you can play with them. There's other utility there. You can even look at them and they're very nice. Here, though, you need other people to buy in to make sure that what you put in doesn't end up being worthless. Yeah. The scam will run out eventually, and I'm not someone who pontificates on when that can be.
Yeah, I agree.
Really, I think a lot of people who are out there who criticize this stuff, not the really smart ones, but some people who just do that, try to look at when like Bitcoin drops in price and like, oh, look, there it goes. You can't really go by that. This stuff there's a whole industry propped up here now. You have major venture capitalists pouring money into this stuff. This isn't going anywhere. A bubble will eventually burst, but whether it'll completely disappear, people get into really dumb things, and this could last for as long as who knows. But to be honest, the more widespread it becomes, that's what actually makes me want to talk about it more. Like when this all pops, that's if it ever happens or whenever it happens, great. I mean, maybe less people will get into it and less people will be scammed. It'll be a dying thing. But the bigger it gets, I think the critiques are that much more important.
I mean, this is the bit though that is so worrying about the moment that we're living through right now. I mean, there's big ass billboards all around Austin here. I'm telling you to get into Bitcoin, right? And what does that mean? Like, if you're somebody who owns a lot of Bitcoin, right, you need to have this new audience of people to be selling it to, and that is why, like, there's something that is so sinister, frankly, about like we're going to bring Bitcoin to everyday people. Whenever you see, particularly because not only Is it sort of bringing people in again to like your worthless asset that you sort of need to dump off on some people? But two, the vast majority of people don't have the capabilities to buy a Bitcoin, in what is called like a cold wallet, right? They go through a platform to buy it, which means that, they're paying fees and all of these other things on top of it, too, right? So there's this whole really like grubby economy in between just like somebody wanting to purchase it and, sell it, right? But the people who are really trying to push it in the in the popular culture right now are just bringing more and more people into it. Again, that's not like, obviously, if you want to see it as a system succeed, obviously you would think that, that's a good thing for you, right? But for the people who are the big whales, the people who are the big players, they're trying to come up with all these values, and that's why it's going to help out people in Palestine. That's why, supposedly, like that's why it's going to help out people with their remittances, and that's why if you're a libertarian, it will help you hide your money from the government, and that's why if you're a socialist, it's going to help bring about the revolution, right? All these fantastical claims are just the kind of thing that you say if you're a salesman trying to get people to buy your snake oil.
Right, right. The idea that it's going to help these countries where, the economy isn't stable and they don't have a stable currency. I mean, to me, that's always a funny argument because we're talking about in a lot of these instances where they're bringing this up, often you'll see them talk about like, crypto in Africa or in impoverished like, Central American or South American countries. Listen, if you're so worried about helping out those impoverished people, then why aren't you dealing with the basics where they don't even have general access to the internet in general? They don't have access to a mobile phone or some sort of electronic device where they can even store this stuff. But the reason you're not dealing with that is because that's not what you're pumping to make you money. I mean, whenever I see whenever you see a crypto that's pushing some sort of charity aspect, you can know that it is especially scamming. Because if there was something, if you were investing in something, you would expect your investment to go into building that company or that product or whatever you invested in. But these charity aspects of crypto are basically taking your money that you're investing and then going around and giving it away after taking their fees, obviously, or after using the charity aspect to market their coin and not actually, doing anything with your investment for you. I mean, it really is the most ridiculous thing. Like if you see, this is all a scam, but if you see a charity marketing ploy with anything involved with crypto, know that you can just go ahead and give your money directly to a charity that supports whatever that crypto claims to be supporting, and you'll be doing much better because that's basically what they're doing. They're taking your money and giving it away.
Yeah, I would quickly echo your point about like not being too confident about when this is going to end. There's an example from stock shorting. This guy, I think his name is Bill Ackman, but he's shorting a multi-level marketing firm called Herbalife. And he's just assumed because he's right, it is a pyramid scheme, basically, right? I mean, allegedly, again, if Herbalife is listening to this, but like, I think he's right about what he's saying, right? In case of a legit company, but that doesn't mean that money can allow bullshit to defy gravity for longer than you can like want it to, right? And and I agree. Like, there's two things, and it was like when it started talking about the social justice stuff and trying to get in on that crowd, I think that's really despicable. And then the other thing that really pissed me off is when I go to fucking Paul George's Twitter account and he's got an ape or whatever his one is. And it's like I don't want Steph Curry. I don't want none of these guys. I want to go there and see their number or their face. I don't want to see some fucking, bullshit scam on their pages. But that sort of brings us up to this new thing that happened recently. And I think this is like maybe I don't know if it's you know better than me, but like as far as like things backfiring for NFTs, this seems like a huge one. This HitPiece thing. So here's Dan Beckner of Wolf Parade. And he's one of many artists I saw doing this exact thing, but he's about the funniest. Said, lol, not us, do not buy. This is at hitpiece.com. You can buy Apologies to the Queen Mary Deluxe Edition NFT. And then Dan also says, please feel free to do targeted harassment of at Join HitPiece. I agree with that. And so Matt, what's your understanding of what happened here and what the significance might be?
Right. So basically, there's this NFT project called HitPiece that put up all these artists' songs and albums, and basically said you can bid on an NFT for this stuff, and then you can own it. Now they claim that they were just putting it all up there, and if an artist didn't want to take part, they would have refunded the money to whoever bid on the NFT.
Opt out.
But you have to opt out, right? Right. But it's looking like this is all very purposeful. So that's the thing about this being a fail, because I don't know if this is gonna end up being a fail for them, because there's this old school tech mantra that goes well beyond crypto, where build fast and break stuff, and it's basically like you have an idea. You want to get it out to market as quickly as possible. Don't care about breaking the law. Don't care about fucking up people's shit. Just get it out there, get a user base, and then you can, once you're sort of too big to fail within the tech market that you're in, then you can just start fixing stuff as you go along. I mean, we've seen this happen with all sorts of major companies. It's worked. Facebook, for example, how often we found that their platform was hurting entire groups of people. Look at what they did to the misinformation spreading in Myanmar. You just get whatever you can out there and be a big success, and then deal with all the aftermath and the negatives after.
Yeah, it's easier to say sorry than ask permission.
Right. But of course, maybe that works for like I don't know, like some bullshit like video game or something where it's pure hobby and whatever. But when you're dealing with people's livelihoods, when you're dealing with people's actual lives, you got a problem. And HitPiece basically made the calculation that they were going to use Spotify's API to basically pull in every single artist's album and set up NFTs for all of them.
That's what's so amazing about it, though, is because we talk about how lazy like the apes and like it's basically just clip art with elements to swap in and out. It's like this time let's just scrape Spotify and put up all that stuff, and it's insane how little effort they want to put into this scam. I mean, it's respectable, honestly.
Right. Imagine your product is just taking other people's shit, slapping a sticker on it and saying it's mine and selling it. I want to be clear here too, because we sort of jumped right into NFTs, and I don't know how familiar your audience is with them. But when you buy an NFT, let's say you buy an NFT of a Bored Ape, congratulations, you have a lot of fucking money. But if you do that, you're not actually buying that image. This isn't even like you always see NFT advocates say it's sort of like the old art world. Well, when you buy a painting, you get the actual painting. With this, you basically get ownership over a string of characters that acts as the receipt for your purchase of a Bored Ape picture on the blockchain. Right. It basically is a token that points to the URL where your image, in this case, the Bored Ape, lives. You don't. So we're not even talking about copyright. You don't own the copyright for these things. First of all, you should know that.
Some of them don't.
A lot of NFT people are buying this shit thinking they could go around and like. So there was a DAO, which is like a crypto crowdfunding type scheme, where basically all these people throw in their crypto for like a mega purchase, and ostensibly they all get voting rights to decide what happens to this purchase once they make it. In this case, they auctioned off Christie's, or one of the big auction houses auctioned off like this rare copy of this Dune book. And they won it for much more than it was supposed to go for. Like they basically bid against themselves and pumped the price up on their own. And they believed after winning this copy of this rare Dune book that they then had the rights to use the book to make a movie on it. Which, let me tell you, if you go to a used bookstore and purchase a book, for folks who don't know, you don't automatically get the rights to that book. You should know that. I don't want anyone, going to,
But
buy a
Matt, what if it's a hard to find book? Do I own the rights to it then?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Listen, if you find like an old foil Charizard card, which is very hard to find, I've heard, you don't suddenly get the rights to print up Charizard everywhere and sell Charizard T-shirts and memorabilia. If you do, Nintendo will definitely be calling. Let me tell you. Don't go minting Mickey Mouse. Well, actually, if you're an NFT person, do go mint and Mickey Mouse on the blockchain.
Yes.
I want to see what happens.
Yeah.
But yeah, so back to HitPiece. So they've basically made this calculated decision that we're going to do this, and we'll get hit with DMCA's, and there'll be takedown requests, and we might get sued. But if we can make more money pumping out the NFTs, that by the time it gets to the point where maybe this could shut us down, we'd be too big. This would be just normal. People will be, and they're betting on, and this is the plan here. They're betting on not every artist being so, staunchly, moralistic and anti NFT, or just like, even if they don't know anything about NFTs, how dare you use what's my creative work? Not everyone's going to be like that. Some people, and I'm betting a large portion of them, some artists will see their stuff being sold on these NFT markets and say, holy shit, there's something I'm obviously missing here. Let me contact HitPiece and sign the deal and just take my whatever percentage I get so I don't miss out. I don't want to be left behind of the next big tech thing. I mean, this is not some small thing either. There's been, so far from what I've seen, there's some big record execs behind this thing,
right?
Like people who actually know the music industry.
They know what rights are, right?
Yeah, like this wasn't like an accidental thing, like put together one weekend by some college programmer who's just I had an idea and I just wanted to see if it will work. No, this isn't like some fun weekend project. This is they have funding. I think like $5 million funding they received. They had a launch party with some pretty big signed to mainstream label artists a couple of months ago. Yeah, and they're making a very calculated ploy that we will get into legal trouble. We'll be inundated with takedowns, but in the end, it'll all work out.
Do you think it will?
I mean, I think it could. I mean, maybe if the blowback from this is so big that no one will want to touch it because it became, just the brand became so toxic. But I don't know. I mean, look at OpenSea. They put out that's the one of the major marketplaces for NFTs. They basically had put out a platform they created where anyone could mint an NFT for free, ostensibly hoping that, everyone will want to mint NFTs of their artwork, and then they'll want to sell it on our marketplace. So, we give this free platform to them, and then they'll sell it on our marketplace, and we'll make money from this, this free product. They ended up having to make some major changes to it because 80% of what was being minted on their free NFT platform were people stealing shit and minting what wasn't theirs. And they just stopped taking shit down once it was put on their marketplace because it just took too much time and effort because so much of what's on OpenSea is fraudulent.
Right. I mean, that's the wonder of decentralization. Like, I'm glad so many corporations like Walmart and Goldman Sachs are, seeing the light on it. It's
right. And of course, decentralization, where, all this stuff is funneled into, with NFTs, all this stuff is basically funneled into one marketplace. Yeah. And I don't know if you saw this, but, Twitter launched that new avatar feature they have where if you have an NFT, if you own an NFT, you can confirm it that you own it through Twitter's platform now, and then you could make the official. They'll put like a little sticker where it shows on your avatar that your avatar picture is the official version of that NFT. Well, the day Twitter launched that, OpenSea went down. They were having server issues, taking down all the images of those NFTs with them. meaning that when Twitter launched that new feature, they couldn't grab all those
Wow.
NFT pictures from OpenSea's API. Very decentralized, very cool.
Well, I actually one final question, Matt. Who is this for? You know, we've covered Bitcoin stuff a few times, and like I think we cover it from like the politics angle of it. And I do think like, you know, I think Gerard's good at good at laying it out, but there's more needs to be done to get people before they like almost like consumer protection at this point. Right? Like how do you view the mission of your show?
Right. So, I don't know everything about this space. It's too fucking complicated. So I wanted to put together a show that made this very accessible. Someone who knows a good portion of it, but still has a lot of questions. Speaking to experts who can tell me. I'm going to have people who advocate for this stuff because I think there's no better way to sort of understand it than to get those people who try to pump it. And I think that'll also help people understand exactly what they're trying to do. But that's another thing. But also, I think a lot of the discussion around it is also sort of, again, so focused on because I think that it is a very smart thing they did, where just throw all this tech stuff out there and people are forced trying to explain that. I think we should look at what the societal implications of this all are. What is the politically, culturally, what is this going to do to us in the year 2022 and beyond? What we're seeing now with this push for Web3, we're basically seeing all these tech venture capitalists putting out all these platforms that want to commodify everything. You play video games for fun. Not anymore. You're going to need a certain number of a specific game's tokens to be able to afford the rare character to play as. And then once you do that, the goal of the game will be to create more capital, more money for yourself so you can take part in the next level. Every little thing is going to be commodified. You want not just you want to own everything, and not just you want to own everything. You can own something of somebody else's. Everything will be owned by someone. It's like the complete reverse of the direction we should be going into. I mean, what was the original idea for the internet? This open space where knowledge was free, where we can ostensibly go online and find out anything, connect to anyone. And yes, of course, there's been a lot of companies who facilitated this and made a lot of money. But, at the crux of it, look at Wikipedia is a great example. Where else can you find that? Where else can you find? Yep. Yeah, where else can you find just this unbelievable source of basically knowledge about anything you could ever want to know about? And then on top of that, a whole system, a whole line of extremely knowledgeable people in their field who volunteer their time to make sure that Wikipedia is accurate and ethical and giving people what they want. I mean, it really is a great example. And of course, I'm sure if I believe I might have seen something, but I'm sure if it isn't already being done, there's going to be someone out there trying to commodify Wikipedia too.
Right. Yeah. Wikipedia NFTs.
Right.
It's creating scarcity where there doesn't have to be scarcity. I mean, that's the crime.
I mean, the Internet Archive I've seen has been getting into this stuff. Firefox, which is ostensibly a company that cares about the open internet. It's so bizarre, especially the Internet Archive. It's really weird to see this organization that believes that all this information that was online should be preserved in some way so we don't lose it
again.
Get involved. Oh, give me 1 second.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'll just say real quick on that. Like I've been while you're fixing that, I've been really annoyed by like pirate party people in like Scandinavia and stuff like that embracing this stuff because like motherfucker, this is the exact opposite. We're determining ownership 3 times over instead of the abolition of those sorts of like control things. I'll tell you what, LibGen, the place where you can get any book, has done way more for society than all this crypto shit will ever do. And I think it's really annoying when people who should fucking know better go down this route.
Right. And I was saying my Internet Archive, like imagine you're an organization that wants to preserve everything on the internet for everyone to enjoy long after servers go down and websites hosting expires. And imagine getting into something that basically promotes the idea of creating fake scarcity.
Yeah.
Like that's what this all is. Like there's no reason we've seen it with people who right click NFTs. There's no reason we all can't have a picture of Bored Ape number 225. There's no reason. It's a digital photo.
Yeah.
It's not like a painting where only one physical original version exists. We can all have the original Bored Ape.
Yeah. You know, and that's the thing is like this idea that the blockchain, this like you can have this, it's 3-factor counting. It's going to be as revolutionary as the internet. It's fucking not. All that low hanging, all that juice from that can be changed from like figuring out who owns what in the most technical way. That was two entry accounting. That was like 500 fucking years ago. 2 different notebooks keeping track inputs and outputs.
Yeah.
Right? That's where that like 3-factor, like it's kind of cool theoretically to have this independent thing that's burning down the Amazon rainforest to like make sure we know who owns what fucking JPEGs. But like it's not, there's not the like people comparing to the internet are fucking fools.
Right. I mean, I hope what I'm hoping with this, what I can do with this show is that basically get more people to understand this. And basically, there are a lot of great crypto critics out there, but I was looking at the, the podcasting space specifically, and like all the shows I was competing with on like the Apple podcast charts and on Spotify, every crypto show is a show pumping it and promoting it and advocating for it. There's no other show that I saw. And that's unfortunate because there's a lot of great people writing great stuff that I'm going to now hope to platform onto these mediums where their word is probably, what they're saying is probably not getting out there. Like, there was that great Foldable Humans video on YouTube that came out breaking this all down. And, it has like something like 3 million views now. That just shows you that even in the YouTube space, people were really dying for a really well put together crypto takedown, and he was able to do it. But 3 million views in I think it's 12 days on a 2-hour long crypto breakdown. Like that's incredible. People want to understand this stuff, and we have to make sure they're being funneled in a direction that's looking at things critically.
And it's so frustrating with all these fucking celebrities, all these people are pointing people who are anxious about their financial futures towards absolute vapor.
That's the thing that's so nasty about it is like when you get the big claims, it's like, well, this is a financial tool that will help, working class people or marginalized communities make some money. And it's like, there is no doubt about it that some people have made a lot of money doing this. There's also a lot of people who have lost money. And just because you can bet on a speculative asset and it might reward you personally does not necessarily mean that this is any kind of societal solution, right? Yeah. If you want to make a good bet, put some money into oil companies, right? They are extremely it's horrible, but you know what I'm saying?
The left needs to invest in oil.
And you would be laughed out of a room if you were saying that, what we need to do? We need to be encouraging more poor and working class people to be putting money into Exxon and Shell, right? And rightfully so. And the thing is with, and I will say this, at least with those companies, at least they're providing something that powers people's cars to get from place to place. Absolutely evil corporations, don't get me wrong.
But civilizationally important.
Right. That's what another funny thing. Crypto advocates will usually put a chart together showing how much power Bitcoin mining takes up compared to a global conglomerate natural resource powered that literally runs full-blown economies, and they'll be like, see, Bitcoin only takes up 50% of what they take up. I mean,
for nothing,
I saw two of those. I love these. These are my favorite example because they think they're proving something, but it's it only uses 1/50th of the energy of air travel globally. That is fucking insanely significant industry. And then there's another one. It's it only uses about the same amount of energy as Americans' dryers, as if it's a trivial thing that every
social reproduction.
Dryer, yeah, exactly. Every fucking dryer in America that you use. I don't have a dryer. I live in New York. I wish I miss having a dryer. But every fucking dryer running, Bitcoin doesn't dry your socks. It doesn't get you from Paris to New York. It doesn't do shit other than maybe you can flip it onto the next fucking idiot for a nice increase in actual cash flow.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I wish there was a utility to this. I wish we were talking about something that actually was like the future. I know that's another thing. Like people, that's another thing we usually hear from them, where it's like, oh, people poo-pooed on the internet back in the '90s too and thought it was temporary. I mean, I didn't. I'm not someone who's usually anti new technology. I mean, I look at it critically. I mean, I can like, I think Facebook's whole metaverse thing is a complete ridiculous marketing ploy, and I think the idea that we're all going to be living in a metaverse is ridiculous. But I see utility to VR.
Right.
I see utility to AR. There is a place where I can see that this can become a part of life in certain sectors. There's no utility at all to this whole Web3 crypto industry. Yes. It's just pure asset speculation being foisted upon us as something more than that. And listen, if these people just said, hey, go buy a scratch off lotto ticket, go buy, go to Vegas and throw all your money on the tables, play some poker, craps, whatever. That's what crypto is. Cool. You know what? Fine. Yeah. People want to gamble. We get to talk about regulations and things like that when it comes to gambling, and the harm it causes. But whatever, it's legal, and it is what it is. And to say it's gambling, but they don't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the closest this thing is gambling. I don't even think you compare it to the stock market, because
you can recoup your losses, right? If somebody like defrauds you on the stock market, you can recoup your losses.
There's also.
Bernie Madoff, for example, like he's a very famous like financial fraudster, right? They have recouped the losses for the people. I think it's like something like 87% now of the people who like lost money on it have been recouped for what they put into it. Like, so the losses that they endured under like one of the most famous like financial fraud schemes of our lifetime. Right. But if you accidentally send a Bitcoin to the wrong person, or hell, if you get sold a bunch of snake oil shit, you buy a shit coin or NFT, an NFT that you think that you're buying, as stupid as it might be, as much as you might think that you're buying like the rights to Dune, right? And you get defrauded on the
Constitution.
That, right? Like in a normal kind of circumstance, you could find ways to recoup your losses. With this, you can't, and that's what's something that's so sinister about it too.
Right? There's no regulation here either. Like all we need, literally, all we need to do is for a bunch of whales who hold up the majority of Bitcoin, for example, because listen, we talk about all these different crypto, and I talk about the NFT space and meme coins and altcoins and decentralized finance platforms. All this shit is pegged to Bitcoin. I mean, just look at Coinbase or any other platform that tracks the space and how much every coin is worth, where you can make trades. Track this shit. Everything is pegged to how Bitcoin does. Bitcoin goes up, the whole marketplace goes up. Bitcoin goes down, the whole space goes down. Everything is pegged to Bitcoin. And all you need is a bunch of whales to decide one day that, fuck this shit, I'm out. And they sell off. And I wonder how much money is even actually there, because we didn't even get into Tether and how much Bitcoin is basically being manipulated by this fake money, literally money being printed up. Like I spoke about how important political ideology is to all this. Libertarians love this shit. Their number one argument against the U.S. Treasury, right, is that they just printed up money and hurting the economy by just printing up all this money. Literally, whenever Bitcoin's in trouble, the company behind Tether just prints up all this fucking Tether. You literally can track how much Tether's being printed up, literally billions of dollars in Tether's being printed up, basically to buy Bitcoin and prop up the price. And Tether is supposed to be backed by one US dollar. We know from their own books that it's not the case. And but
ideally it'd be nice.
Yes, but it would be amazing that they were generating so much money where they would be able to print billions of dollars in Tether and backing up all those with billions of actual US dollars.
Fake it till you make it.
Right. But so one day, if enough people want to sell off, they'll want to sell off, and there won't be enough actual US dollars to return to them. And that's when this whole thing's going to really, that's when the bubble will really burst. Because, You may see that Bitcoin is selling for 35,000, 45,000, 60,000, whatever it's at. If you want to cash out a lot of that fucking Bitcoin, you think all that money is just sitting there? It's not. It's not at all.
Yeah, the reserves of these fucking scammers. Well, Matt, where can people find you and follow the show?
Scameconomy.com. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube at youtube.com/Matt Binder for the video version. Much like how you guys do. It's like me talking with a guest live. And I take calls on the post show. So if you're a crypto advocate who wants to call in, I had some of those in the very first episode. I talk to anyone about this stuff. And you can also check out my other show, Doomed, which talks about right-wing media and what's going on in that world with the different conspiratorial groups and extremist groups at doomedcast.com. It's also at youtube.com/Matt Binder. Yeah, I mean, that's where you can find me.
Absolutely. Well, I highly recommend Matt's work. He does great work on Doomed. Very good at picking beats. Everyone knows his. He was early on the beats, meaning like a reporter, not
right.
Like you're in Ableton. But was on the GamerGate stuff very early on. Back when I was just a Majority Report listener. So, Matt, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me. An absolute pleasure to join you guys on this show. I think this is my first time, right, on Left Reckoning.
It is,
man. Awesome. Love it. Had a lot of fun.
Thanks, Matt.
See you around.
Take care.